Welcome to Marifado family presentation. With over 60.2% of Ghanaians as Christians and over 17% as Muslims, and a paltry 5.2% following their ancestral faith, the future is bleak when we ask serious questions about what we consider to be true Ghanaian identity. Our title is, What is our real Ghanaian identity? There are 6 major ethnic groups in Ghana: the Akan, Ewe, Ga-Adangbe, Moldagban, Gwan, Guma. The largest tribe being the Ashanti. With their rich history and tradition, we shall have a deliberate bias in this episode around their identity. Then we shall focus on all the others in future posts. What is our real Ghanaian identity? Millions of melanin-dominant human beings ignore obvious facts that Christian missionaries as well as Islamic imams are the chief agents of colonialism and the destruction of African civilization to today as we speak. Their task is also to make sure that Africans demonize their own identity and throw away their cultural values and convert to these foreign colonial slave-toting religions. Christianity and Islam came to Ghana with colonialism. Therefore, they cannot confer on anybody in Ghana a true, meaningful identity. You cannot be a Muslim, you cannot be a Christian or a Hebrew Israelite, and at the same time tell us that you are a conscious African. These two cannot mix. Ubuntu Ma'ati consciousness is expressed as Kemetic philosophy or Cushaitic philosophy. It does not allow God or Allah. Is Ghanaian identity mentioned in the Bible? Quickly, on the supposed Hebrew or original Israelite identity of some tribes in Ghana, like the Akan, we shall highlight this timetable. You see, Abraham here appeared 1800 BCE. Remember, we said the original man or original human to walked on the earth at least 3 billion years ago. This is the calculation that they've given, that he appeared 4004 BCE, that Adam was created there. This was by Professor or Dr. Asher. According to Archbishop Asher, the creation of the world began on Sunday, October, and Adam and Eve were created on Sunday, October 28, 4004 years ago. But we know this is baby history. With all these claims, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam has no evidence other than their books and their beliefs. But here's the question. Let's turn the question again towards us. What about melanin-dominant human teaching about the origins and identity of humans on the earth? One of the greatest mysteries preserved in many melanin-dominant human beings' origin is that our ancestors told us that they knew that the original ancestors, melanin-dominant ancestors, arrived on the earth when all the rocks were still soft. Is there proof about this? Yes. These are 3.6 million year footprints that have yielded new clues about our human ancestors. You can find this on CNN. Hundreds of fossilized human footprints made between 5,760 and 19,100 years ago, which were discovered in Africa, shedding light on the life and the ancient communities, according to this new study. This place is known as Engarocero Footprints site. It's found in Tanzania, Tanganyika, which preserves at least 408 footprints. An eruption of Oldonyo Lengai, the volcano in the background, produced the ash, which the footprints were preserved according to researchers. These are the footprints. This is the proof that the Bible is not to be considered here. The oldest people in West Africa, yet to be identified, lived 400,000 BCE. Therefore, Dr. Chenkanda Diop demonstrated that the Twa, Obaka, were and are the original inhabitants of West Africa. predating Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by hundreds and thousands of years. Therefore, if you go to number 3, we have already said our ancestors migrated into many parts of Africa specifically, then into other areas on the earth. Therefore, to assume that current locations are synonymous with their autochthonous status is foolishness. They claim again that Ghanaian tribes are Hebrew Israelites or Jews by whatever verse, scripture, book you can bring, is confusing conversion with anthropology. This is a very crucial fact in the face of many beliefs poured on melanin-dominant human beings by missionaries, by writers, by preachers, and white Jews who support movements that promote that idea that blacks are different and that they are Hamites and they are Hebrew Israelites. You go to this website that we are giving here, Ghost DNA in West Africa Complicates the Story of Human Origins. Remember, we said many migrations dating to billions of years. The day scientists will agree to the 3 billion years, all these confusion and complications will vanish from their books. Let's debunk the Hebrew Israelite links to Akan further. This is one of the most popular images that you can find. It's taught that this is the priestly breastplate and that these are the migrations from Israel via Hamid to West Africa and then into slavery. They actually ignore the Islamic slave trade, which predates this and which is still going on today. If God knew about all this, he should have put it in the Bible. He did not, because the Bible is a man-made, crafted book. However, if you remember that Moses learned everything in Egypt, you find that the head cover and especially the breastplates are all items stolen from Hemet that predates the Torah. So this is one book also which is very powerful and written by Nana Banchi Dakwa. In this volume, he destroys entirely the Hebrew Israelite narrative in many ways, more than one, by proving that the ancient Kemeticians and their noble kings like Tutu Ankoma, Akhenaten, Tutu Mose are names that are still being used in Ghana like Kese, Bese, Hese, Tomise, and Baregese. Asa Mankese, Kamose, Nektaneboa, Amose, Amo, plus Se, ai Amos' father, Wahibre, Siamo, Seki, Akufo. Later, these people migrated into West Africa. In Ghana, they founded the Akana Empire, which lasted over 1,000 years. In present-day Mali, their language, cultural practices, music, and spiritual traditions are not Hebraic. To the contrary, they are like many other African traditions found everywhere in Africa. They believe in spiritual powers of ancestors, of divinities, and the unseen creator, Onyame. There is no evidence of Jewish monotheism, but ancient African brand of monotheism, polytheism, as well as animism. These three go hand in hand in Akan. There is the clear indigenous spirituality, which is at variance with Judaism, that teaches a monotheistic belief, as well as many other things like Egyptian enslavement. The Akan spirituality has Onyame, the creator, above here, and Nanom, Samfo, ancestors, and Abosom, divinities, and the Asuman, physical object with impersonal power, where human beings are there. This is the real identity of the Ashantis or the Kan or tribes in Ghana, Bantu or melanin-dominant tribes in Ghana. You cannot be a Muslim, a Christian, a Hebrew Israelite, and at the same time a melanin-dominant human being who practices such kind of spirituality as expressed in this Kushite, Kemetic, Mahat, Ubuntu, conscious pyramid. It's impossible. Yours is totally different. You are converted to Judaism. Ghanaians' identity and spirituality predates the Bible. The symbols that they developed here are Dinkra symbols created by the Akan people, as well as Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana in the 1800s, consist of pictorial symbolisms created for worship and belief, and they are sacred. This is not the Hebrew alphabet. Why didn't they write Hebrew alphabet? Again, there is the same beliefs that they have concerning the Gyenyame with this one, Nyami Nyami. If you see differences here, it means your spiritual senses are dull. This is same with what Hebrew Israelites would call Hamitic beliefs, found amongst the people they claim to be Hebrew Israelites. So that's not their identity. Melanin dominant spirituality is older than Hebrews. The Ark they boast of, you can go and read this book, the Ark of the Covenant, in its Egyptian context, an illustrated journey by David A. You will notice that you can never be a Hebrew Israelite and believe in this, because this is ancient African spirituality. There it is, who stole from each other. This is the original, and this is the one that we are told Moses made. This was made by the oldest race ever to walk on the earth, which is at least 3 billion years, and it is melanin dominant. European scientists proved that they became pale 8,500 years ago, and Asians 15,000 years ago. So they became pale recently, and this is older than them by millions, even billions of years. So cultural thievery cannot give you your true identity. Again, when it comes to the Exodus, remember we have said there have been many migrations out of Africa. This is a detailed book that proves the fallacy that any melanin dominant human beings have Hebrew identity. Read this book by Mesod and Roger Saba. It will show you a lot where what you call Judaism today was stolen from. So we are running around with a stolen identity. Here is a researcher, Professor Ziv Herzog. He said the many Egyptian documents known to us do not make any reference to the sojourn of the children of Israel in Egypt or events of the Exodus. Generations of scholars have tried to locate Mount Sinai and the stations of the tribes of Israel in the desert. Despite all this diligent research, not one site was identified that could correspond to the biblical picture. Professor Ziv Herzog of Tel Aviv University, that's what he said. An Israel archaeologist is drawing fire from claiming that the biblical history of the Jewish people is probably fiction. So you're basing your ancestry and your identity on fiction. But for your Hebrew Israelite origin, if you dig deeper and you get the facts to educate yourself, and the knowledge is power, and the time for wake up you all, this man, who was a Grand Master of Freemasons, known as William Sanders Crowdy, or actually Bishop Sanders Crowdy, is one of the founders of the concept that all black people in America are Hebrews. He was a Freemason. Think about that. He was a Grand Master of Freemasons. Before him, no African American on the planet considered themselves Hebrews until he started that false doctrine. This is why you will not find any black Hebrew Israelite teaching or preaching or literature before 1847, which is the year William Sanders Crowdy was born. This is your father, one of your fathers. And we know he was a Grand Master of Freemasons. That should answer a lot. Judaism is a plagiarization and corruption of African spiritual systems. You go to Kushite Kemetic Spiritual Science on Facebook, and you find explanation like the Kwanzaa restoration of the African Amen-Ra candles, and the Pharaoh Amenemhat seated here with candles, the same that you find the Hebrews plagiarizing. This is on the wall, it's there. You don't have to dig, you just have to walk to Hemet and you find that it is like that. It's time we stop this. Ashanti culture is traditionally more Hamitic. There it is, the fly whisk. This is from Emara Himotep. Yeah. And there is the Kemechu Nobu 13th dynasty and Ghana Ashanti in Ghana. And there is again same in Ghana, same head. Hamitians, you find them with head like this, and the Mangubet head in the Congo, same style. Ghanaians' identity and spirituality is typically African. There it is. Anansi parallel a blend of Orumla and Enshu, who are found in the Yoruba culture. He also parallels Tahuti or Jgahuti, so-called Tot in Kemet. Can general history, including the many migrations, our ancestors first identify the identity of people in West Africa? Yes. He is the founder of the Ghana Empire, Wagadu, Dinga, Sise. And this is the original and ethnogenesis of the ancient ethnic Ghanaians, which is traced back to nomadic migration from Nubia travel. General history, which includes migrations, pinpoints the identity of all indigenous people of Ghana as Africans in West Africa. Here. This is the area. This is Ghana's Empire of Wagadu, 1600 BCE to 1100 Common Era. And these are the same people and their symbols, and they came from the northeast. And it's not the only direction. There are so many directions they would have come through. Archaeological work done in Tichit Walata as early as 1975 discovered that by 1600 BCE, the Sonike, a black ethnic group, kin to the Mandingo and the Dogon, built stone towns spanning over 100 continuous kilometers. However, this great civilization remains ignored. Very few people think about it. Even Afrocentrics ignore it. It is important that an African archaeologist or historian and many of us start to dig and start to promote this. The West African civilization of Tichit Walata, Proto-Ghana Empire of Wagadu, 1600 BCE. You can go to this website, to this Facebook page, and you read a lot about Kemetic spiritual science there. What is our real Ghanaian identity? Straightforward. It is melanin dominant. It is Bantu. It is what we call African or Negro or black or brown or whatever you want to call it. This is the area we are dealing with all over West Africa. Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Monrovia, Guinea, all this area, and Mali at the top here. Right up to Morocco before the arrival of the white Arabs. The current Akan and other tribes in West Africa migrated from the north through Hamid and settled in Kush and Nubia, Sudan today, South Sudan specifically. Around 500 AD, 5th century, due to the pressure exerted on Nubia by Aksumite kingdom of Ethiopia, Nubia was shattered and the Akan people moved west and established small trading kingdoms. These kingdoms grew, and around 750 AD, the Empire of Ghana was formed. The empire lasted from 750 to 1200 AD and collapsed as a result of the introduction of Islam, which you follow in Western Sudan, and the zeal of the Muslims to impose their religion on us. Let's conclude this on the real identity of every melanin-dominant human being in Ghana. Most West African tribes have direct roots straight into Hamid. Here, right? We are not Christians, we are not Jews, Muslims, Hindus by race, but by confusion via conversion. We are hard-bound to review comprehensively these matters in many future posts. For now, the lesson is all West African people have a stake in ancient Egypt, Hamid. Just like every European holds a stake in Washington, Oxford University, or Paris, or any other European city today. Let's think melanin dominant unity, because this is what the racial clusters of the world 6,000 years ago looked like when the world's first writing system was invented in Africa. Subscribe to our channel, Community Hebrew Ethics. This preacher Rabbi Elem Dumizulu saying we are rebuilding our greatness. Tatenda Siabonga Enkos.